Welcome to the Empowered Warrior podcast. My name is Angela Noel, and I am an intuitive coach, acupuncturist, and Chinese herbalist. This podcast is all about empowerment, meaning how you can maintain your personal power in order to have the best life beyond your imagination. An empowered warrior is someone who has the identity of a person who is healthy, radiant, and free from all suffering, and has the tools ready and available to move through life's obstacles with confidence, ease, and a sense of freedom. In this podcast, I bring over 16 years experience in Chinese medicine, countless years of self-development, and a passion for helping others find their personal power. I will be discussing just a few of my favorite topics regarding health from a Chinese medicine perspective, brain habits, and spirituality, so that you can quickly pave your pathway to freedom and be free from the chains that have kept you stuck. My intention with this podcast is to serve as a guide for warriors who want to form a healthy foundation of body, mind, and spirit, and sustain it by changing who they are being from the inside and having a stronger connection to their higher selves. My goal is to help students end the unnecessary suffering that they place on themselves by having poor health habits, negative thought loops, and a lack of self-worth. I am so happy that you're here. Welcome to the Empowered Warrior podcast, episode 3. In this episode, I talk about why I stopped talking to my friends. Mind you, this podcast is intended to inform and inspire, and is not intended to be egregious in any way. Yes, I still speak to my friends, but find out why I no longer share my deep, dark secrets with them. Stay tuned. Hello, Empowered Warriors. I am so excited to deliver this podcast today. I just did a similar talk in my private Facebook group, The Empowered Warrior with Angela Noel, and I got a lot of positive feedback on it. So why not make it international by doing a podcast about it? First of all, if you are someone who needs help or is going through a crisis, please don't take this podcast as an invitation to not talk at all. This is not the message. If you listen to the end, you will understand more the context of this episode today. In this episode, I discuss my experience with why I stopped talking to my friends. Almost all of them. I know, right? It sounds crazy, but keep listening. All of my life, I have always prided myself with my friends. My mom would always say, "Angela, you have the nicest friends." And I agree. I have always been blessed with having beautiful humans in my life. Truthfully, I believe we are all beautiful, and all of us possess potentials that, unfortunately, many of us will never learn to know, because many of us have very low self-worth. But keep on listening to this podcast, warriors. You won't be one of those people, because I am going to make sure you have all the messages you need to live in your highest potential. Moving on, I grew up thinking that it was normal to share your problems with your friends, so I did. Secretly, though, I never really liked oversharing, but I chalked it up to me being shy and quiet. I was both the receiver and the giver of dumping. Meaning, I allowed my friends to dump on me, and they allowed me to dump on them. That's what friends are for, right? But over time, what I was starting to notice very subconsciously when I participated in this kind of talking, I noticed that I felt very, very exhausted. And it felt like there was no natural ending to the conversation, because these types of conversations can't organically end, because there is no solution. How can a problem be solved if the person talking is just complaining and not willing to see a solution or their participation in the problem? And so it went, more tiring conversations, which was fuel for more of these conversations in the future, because what you focus on expands. So if I was always focusing on some drama in my life every time I saw a friend, then I would have even more drama, even more reaction, hence more drama in my life. Now, when I talk to friends and if they ask me how I'm doing, I choose not to go into my drama. And honestly, I don't have a lot of drama anymore. And I don't have a lot of big time problems anymore, out of choice. Yes, I do have my emotional days because I'm a human being. So emotions are naturally going to come up. But I don't spend too much time stewing and ruminating in repetitive thought patterns. I actually welcome challenging emotions now because, like I mentioned in episode 2, they are invitations to look within and learn the lesson. And the lessons, my warriors, are the ticket into next level living, are they not? When I talk to my friends now, first of all, I am very selective with who I share with. And it has to be a friend that really gets higher conscious living. And the reason why is because we live in a culture that I call victim culture. We live in a culture where everything is about poor me, he did that to me, that politician did that, my boss is a jerk and I'll never get ahead, etc., etc., etc. Victim culture is not an empowering place to stand in. The reason why is because when you play victim, you will always be a victim because you are giving your power away to that person or that situation that, in your interpretation, steered you in the wrong direction. So that is where I'm going with this. It isn't that I don't talk to my friends anymore. I keep in touch with my friends. I text them and I tell them that I'm thinking of them. But for the most part, when it comes to confidants, there are only a handful of people that I talk to. I'm also in a community of other like-minded people from all around the world who I talk to if something comes up. And instead of wallowing, this community helps me move through tough emotions by asking the right questions so that I can move through the challenge and grow rather than keeping me in victimhood, which will only enable me to stew in my anger or stew in my rejection or stew in my sadness. So if you're noticing that when you talk with people, certain people, about your challenges and you're noticing that it is putting you in a victim state and it's exhausting you, first of all, anytime you're having a conversation with someone and it's exhausting you and you're noticing that you're getting tired, stop doing that. For me, when I am having a conversation that is not serving my higher self or is putting me into a low vibrational state, I get this achy feeling in my throat, like my vocal cords feel stressed and tired. And for me, that is a sign that I should stop the conversation and move my attention. In summary, if it doesn't feel good, don't do it. And that is something I started doing recently. I started asking myself, does this feel good to me or does it feel bad to me? And that helps me decide how to proceed with an action. And hey, I am not perfect at all. I haven't gotten this all figured out. This is something that I'm sharing as a result of me living through my struggles, my drama, and my issues, and what has worked for me. We live in a society where it is encouraged for us to be victims and martyrs, and to blame and shame and point the finger at other people and not look at ourselves. Because when we look at ourselves, it can be scary or painful. But the thing is, we can look at it as being painful, but on the other side, I look at it as being very empowering. I get to look at each trigger or a tough emotion and learn why I am being triggered by this. Our emotions are here to serve us and to help us, not hold us back. We are having the human experience for a reason. No other species that we know of has emotions quite like us. If I am able to sort through these feelings and learn the lessons that I'm meant to learn, then I go to the next level. And that's next level, guys, right? Sitting in a gossip circle is not next level. The fact that you're still listening to this episode must mean that you can relate to this topic in one way or the other. Are you an oversharer? Do you allow your friends to dump on you? How do you feel when this happens? I invite you to spend some time in your journal and take a few notes about what comes up. And as a reminder, this does not mean you have to break up with all your friends. It's quite the opposite. If it feels good, do it, and if it feels bad, then avoid it. Your higher self is smart and knows everything that you need, so listen to it. And that's all I have today, warriors. Short and sweet. I hope you found this helpful and that you have a clearer understanding of why it's best to not focus on your problems and drama in conversations with friends if you want to grow and be the empowered warrior that you are meant to be. I look forward to spending time with you on the next episode. Take care. Thank you so much for listening to the Empowered Warrior podcast. It is an honor and a privilege to have you as a listener. If you've enjoyed listening to this podcast and would like to help others pave their pathway to freedom, end their disempowerment and suffering, and become an empowered warrior, please share this podcast with your friends and family. Also, it is my intention to help humanity grow and evolve to their highest potential. So if you really enjoy what you're hearing, please help me spread the word by leaving a review in iTunes. Thank you again, and I am so grateful to be able to serve you in this very exciting way.